Kohli. I'm the innovation lead for the innovation lab in the Department of Work and Pensions. In my current role, my major work is to do data and tech horizon scanning, trying to understand what are the data and technologies that could really we can experiment in the lab that could really support the department. So recently, as part of our tech, we started exploring in the lab that how what are the technologies that could really help us to support the department in data sharing. And while doing this particular exploration, we went through we became aware about synthetic data as a tool. So this is something that we explored recently. We wanted to understand that how exactly synthetic data can not only support the department in data sharing, but how we could really use this particular tool to uh, come up with the new ways through which we could use the data, because it is a common saying, data could be a new oil or data is a plastic if we are not able to use it. So we identified five big opportunities for the department. We wanted to see how we could leverage external collaborations with the universities, industries, startups, how we could enable more cross-gov collaboration by coming up with a standard data, share data that that is trustable, and also how we could make it easy and quick for our digital testing team to test our systems. And can we really come up with some kind of synthetic data beds where we could understand how this kind of tool can help us in exploratory analysis, fraud and error, and other space. So these are the kind of opportunities we wanted to look for in this particular project. So before I jump and talk more about the project that we have just completed, the phase one, I just wanted to tell you a little more about the innovation lab. As the name says, innovation lab is a brainchild of the senior leaders of the department, which is more like an experimental space and an innovation accelerator where we really challenge the perceived thinking and explore more on art of art of possible. So you could really call us the ambassador of innovation, where we really, work very closely with our own colleagues, trying to understand their problem space, trying to understand how those processes could be done better, or what are the kind of problems that that they are facing, and how it could be done differently. And as you know, crisis is the master of innovation, and this is something that we have all explored in the recent we have all, I would say, like, observed in the recent pandemic. So what exactly are the opportunities here in the innovation lab? We are here to change the mindset. We are here to change the risk appetite that everyone can take. We want to look for building resilience. We want to see how we could really expedite the digital transformation, and how we can challenge and redefine normal. So these are the kind of aspects on which we are working, how we could really come up with effective innovation in the department. So how exactly we do it? We really work very closely with our colleagues in business strategy, operations, and try to understand what are the problem spaces, their current problem spaces. And once we have identified that, we work in a rapid prototyping phase of like 6 to 8 weeks, where we really try to see how we could enable and develop a cross-cutting solution to the kind of problem they are currently working on. And many of these problem spaces are future focused. For example, in our recent conversations with policy, we were just discussing how exactly the government can, communicate with people maybe after 5 years. So it's some of our innovations, some of our endeavors are future focused, just to see how we could really come up with the way of better serving people. So, how exactly we do this? We start our working with design thinking sessions, and in these design thinking sessions are like we do a kind of pre-knowledge discovery where which are totally tech agnostic sessions, where we really sit down, virtually collaborate on a white blank canvas with all the thoughts together. And our team is multi-skilled team of developers, tech, DevOps, user researchers, business analysts. All of them use pragmatic approaches to understand, what is the kind of problem statement that we could pick from this problem space that could really support our stakeholders. So that is the kind of sessions which are totally tech agnostic, where we do not talk about any data in tech. We really just want to come up with a kind of concept poster where the team further does a deep diving. And in 6 to 8 weeks, which is very, very rapid in an agile way, the team works on then giving life, coming up with a tangible prototype from the concept that has been proposed. And while developing this prototype, stakeholders are part of that journey. Every week we do the demo. We sincerely take that particular feedback and we work on it and try to come up with a masterpiece that is hand over back. And as I said, it is a prototype, it is experimental space, it's nothing something production ready. It's more to challenge the current ways of working, and so that they could go back and reflect that is this something that could really help them in the kind of work they are doing. Or I won't say all the experiments work, some of them fail, but that really helps us at the department to leverage on, what are the technologies that may not work currently for us. So that's the kind of landscape in which we work. So, as I said, although technology is our major gadget, but we are totally user centric focused, and we really want to see how we could really enable more accessibility, how we could enable those particular journeys. And for that, we have got the defined skills in our innovation lab. We have got user researchers, but frankly speaking, each and every member, even if that member is a developer, has that particular ingredient of enabling that particular prototype for user. So user centric is the core team on which we work and develop. Before I go further and talk about the current project, I thought it's important to give the technology landscape that we are currently working in. So that's the kind of report card, which there are many more technologies that we have explored, but this gives you a kind of idea where are we. So as I'm speaking today, there are like many prototypes that we have built where we have really showcased and how these technologies can help us. It could be serverless, it could be cloud architecture, it could be transcription services that we have developed, it could be the Google tools that we have developed, or it could be use of beacons, or it could be use of machine learning, knowledge graph. Recently, I visited the Gartner Data Analytics Summit, where they spoke about what are the technologies that could really make the world adaptable to the kind of uncertain situations that come over. And they spoke about four technologies that were GAN, GPT-3, data fabric, and knowledge graphs. And it was good to see that out of the four, three we have already explored in the lab, and we have really shown how it could really help us to support the user centric prototypes that we have developed. So this gives us an edge to mature the technology within the department and experiment with them. So as you know, in any journey, you cannot walk alone. You need partners. So in this particular journey, we really work with partners. We have got an innovation partner with us within the lab that works with us, and we very closely communicate to the suppliers, vendors, industry, SME, startups, universities. We are that is the kind of external ecosystem that we really leverage on while we are working within the lab. And apart from these SMEs in the market, we work very closely with other government organizations also. We have also tapped to other organizations like your Royal Institute of Blinds, NICD, ONS, where we really want to pick. We really don't want to redevelop that is already there in the market. We really want to go further and pick up that particular skills and try to see how that could really help us to transform our services. So that is the way we work. So we have uh, delivered couple of different prototypes where we have shown how we could come up with some kind of virtual assistant to signpost people, how we could decrease the anxiety level of people who attend our job centers, how we could use, like, orchestration services uh, to come up with a platform which could really be easy to use for the people who are vulnerable, but who could really, which is which you know which become which brings hurdle for the people who could be fraudulent. So these are the different aspects in which we have experimented, and we have given that feedback back to our colleagues. And there are other ways through which we share and learn. We do like this lots of conferences, workshops, sessions, show and tells, where we talk about it, podcasts, something that we recently did, and articles that are published over there, and regular lunch and learn sessions, so that whatever is our learning, we can really share it, not only within our organization, but also cross government, and many times with the industries and with universities also. So that's the kind of technology landscape that we are working on. So let's talk about the current project that that's something we are working on. If we talk about the accessibility and utilization of data, you all will say like this is not something a new problem. We all know that the kind of data that the government is holding is very sensitive, and we really have to take we need to safeguard this particular data. And but at the same time, we really need to leverage the benefits of using this data, so that we can have interoperable services, like that would really transform the ways we are working. So what are the challenges are not new, but yeah, take a minute to understand these particular challenges. We know all about, like, we have got the regulations like GDPR, which really help us to govern the usage of data, safeguarding that the data, which is the benefit. But at the same time, what has happened is that the data is limited to the data experts, like who have got specific level of clearances. And so it has become difficult to spread data literacy across the department or cross gov that could really help in making powerful decision making. There are many tools, many ways through which, like the organizations are gearing up to understand how to improve the data literacy uh, with the business strategy decision makers. So at the same time, as we all know, like it's very important for us to maximize the opportunity of innovation by bringing in external thinking, investing in crowdsourcing innovation, so that we can tap in the expertise of the startups, industries, and onboard those SMEs while we are on our data journey, trying to come up with the new and better ways to solve the problem. But again, that is the kind of, like that is something, a limitation. It's a long tedious process through which and many times there is no way to go that road. And at the same time, when we are talking about cross government, as I said, we need to look for those ways through which we could really come up with the interoperable synthetic data journey that everyone can leverage on and make quick decisions. It's not that there are not current ways to work on this. Data anonymization and obfuscation, you all know, like maybe you heard about these ways through which the data is anonymized to make it so that it doesn't reveal individual. And however, these are long tedious processes, and still there are some kind of risks associated with it. The governance of GDPR, could be still could still be there. So that really doesn't open a lot of more opportunities through which we could tap in and leverage on data sharing. So this brings us to the need of having a way through which could really come up with a way through which we could enable this data sharing. So this particular project came after doing a lot of literature survey, trying to understand how the different organizations are working on this particular data sharing problem space. So when I'm saying synthetic data here, we are not talking about a fabricated data that is used based on we are creating, that is totally based on some rules that we have developed to create a data set. Here we are talking about
I'm okay, and your letter all right, and yeah, just to see how you're getting on. Really, feel free to drop me a text whenever you're able. All right, thank you. Bye.
okay, thanks, Rachel. I hope you all can see. I hope
Is
you
everyone
all
on mute?
you can all hear me, right?
Yep, I think it just cut into somebody's voicemail there for a bit, but I can hear you, yeah.
Sorry, I can't see anyone as of now. Yeah, sorry. So this particular, we really wanted to see that the deep learning, the recent advances in the deep learning that have been done to create, highly complex models of machine learning, specifically GAN, that have been used to come up with the ways of creating synthetic data, which is like, which really is being claimed that it cannot be reverse engineered, and at the same time, it is realistic enough that you can really do analysis on that and it would reflect the analysis that is done on the real data. So that was the kind of concept that we wanted to work on. And while doing some research, it was found that Norwegian Tax Authority has used it and found it useful. ONS has worked on some of aspects of synthetic data, and then we have got Public Health England. NHS has come up with some kind of ways over there. So and also definitely in public sector, insurance companies are using synthetic data to support. So this gave us a vision, like rather than going for the traditional ways, like traditional tools that are being used in the department, can we really leverage the capability of this particular kind of high profile machine learning data that could really help us to go out, share the data cross gov, or with the industries, and how we could enable our testers better, how we could really improve on analytics. So that was the kind of problem space we wanted to work on. And definitely these were the benefits I've already spoken about. These were the benefits that came up through that particular interaction that happened, and we wanted to really see that are these really possible in the kind of landscape we are working on. So that really triggered us to do some initial more investigations, and we wanted to know who are the experts in the market, who are really who can help us in this particular journey. And it was really identified that it may be complex for us to generate our own data, so we just wanted to see who are the vendors and how they are doing it. And it was good to see there are a couple of vendors in the market who had been working very closely with a lot of industries. They have established themselves over there, and also they are working with some good government teams, where again to see how this particular technology could be leveraged. Just one, we wanted to understand more how exactly we would leverage and rely on what data the vendors are synthesizing. And we came to know that the vendors are coming up with their own reports, which could really help to understand the utility, privacy, PI realism, that no one can reverse engineer. So there are a couple of reports that are generated over there, and also there are academic researchers who really have validated it through a couple of their research papers on differential privacy and security. So based on what all we did, all this initial investigation that we did, we really wanted to see, like, is this the way through which we could really come up with a capability for the department? Is this something technology we wanted to really explore this in the department? And I shared it with our colleagues in data and DNA, who really wanted us to explore it with analysts, with testers and security, and also CrossGov. And this helped us to start the journey of our project sale, where we took this endeavor that yes, we have done a lot of secondary survey, we have understood what could be the benefits, we know what are our challenges, and how by developing this synthetic data lake we could really support our department. So this was the experiment journey we started on. And as you can see on the screen, it really involved a lot of collaborations, where we collaborated with all the experts in the market to get their buy-in and try to see how this could help. And definitely we worked very closely with CrossGov, and there are some similar steps being taken over there, and did our knowledge sharing with them, try to understand their problems also. And this helped us to structure the kind of experiment we wanted to do, our first experiment in the SAIL program. So this is a kind of journey that is up to the date. So when we started exploring how exactly validate the synthetic data is something we as a department should work on, we wanted to take initially a vendor on board, synthesize some data in our production warehouse, and and then do those tests and try to compare it, and that could give us an assurance that yes, this is something that will really work for us. That was the initial start, but as we started working more on implementing this particular experiment, we found that it's not easy to get that particular SME in the production warehouse, our data warehouse, but because of our security and the governance process, we work in a rapid prototyping mode, and we cannot really go that particular long road. So we really wanted to find what is the best way to test this in our own stipulated time. So we came up with the concept of hackathon, where what we did was we prepared a data from our own DWP's open data set, that is Stat Explore, which is aggregated data of some of our benefit journey of some of the claimants. And and we augmented that data with the kind of PI information that we feel like, with some fabricated PI sensitive information that we really thought could is important. It should be part of the data that we are giving to the vendors. And how we created it, we work very closely again with our DNA security tester colleagues. Just wanted the right kind of sample data uh, uh, that we should give to the vendors, so that we could really get something very fruitful from the results. So when these particular data set was given to the vendors, all were given equal time. They were given 14 use cases to test upon, and these particular 14 use cases helped us to test the synthetic data that they had created on the basis of quality, robustness, security, and privacy. These were the four major metrics where we wanted to test the data that they have created. And our data set was 10,000, and we asked them to come up with 1 million to see the scalability too, and so that it makes sense for the analytics kind of work that we intend to do with the data. So I won't go deeper and deeper into the test, but the screen will show you the kind of mathematical computations that were done on that particular synthetic data that came back from the vendors, where we really thoroughly tested how much is the similarity over there, how much is secure it is, how much robust it is. And once we did that, and apart from that, our own validation that we did, we also had the industry vendors report, but we wanted to do this validation ourselves. so that we don't rely on just vendor report, and that really help us to get an edge on, like, understand that yes, the data is very close to the real data, but at the same time it is not revealing any individual journey that could be a kind of a risk. But however, this was we but however we found that there is some kind of compromise between utility and privacy that needs to be done when we are synthesizing this data. And we wanted to know more about it, and we wanted to understand what are the best use cases within the department where we could really use it, because this particular journey till now told us that we cannot just have a synthetic data generator for the whole department. Synthetic data that is generated is very specific to some particular problem spaces, and where and then you need to understand what is the use case you want to do it for, testing or data sharing, and then appropriate delta needs to use for utility and privacy. So this was the kind of situation we were, and we really wanted to understand it more, and that's why we collaborated with Alan Turing Institute. We did a data study challenge over there with them, where all the researcher worked together to on the reports that vendors were generated, and also they synthesized the data themselves. And they are submitting their report in June, but initial findings are really promising, and that could really help us to understand the use cases more, like where exactly when and how and where we could use synthetic data. So that's the kind of stand where we are today. So just summarizing this, that we need to really validate the way through which the synthetic data, before we really are confident enough that it is the best way to share data. And so there are industry proven metrics that are available, but during this journey we have developed our own synthetic data validation framework. And believe me, this is some kind of real asset outcome that has come up out of this exploratory phase, because the kind of tests that we have done are based on the validated pillars of quality, robustness, security, and privacy. And this particular, because this framework is based on the open data that we had used for this hackathon, it is like now a sought after asset, which our learnings have we have really shared cross gov, and we have shown how we have really validated the synthetic data and walked them through this particular framework. And it could be some kind of something which has really had been helpful while doing these cross talks and showing how we have validated it. And definitely next is the Alan Turing collaboration that I spoke about, and that we have got those primary findings, and we are waiting for the final report. So standing here, like sitting here, I would really say that this particular experiment that we have done on the synthetic data has really enabled us to see how we could really imagine having some kind of digital twin coming up with synthetic data beds, which are cost effective, which are high in value, accurate, but at the same time it can help us to come up with to keep privacy, and how we could really come up with a safe and open space where the collaborations could be done, some kind of proactive analysis, maybe for example in fraud and error space be done. And these are the kind of use cases that have come up from our the kind of meetings we had cross government, to have these kind of synthetic data beds where proactive product evaluation, fraud and error analytics, and testing could be done proactively. So that's the kind of space we are, that we are looking forward after doing this first experiment. Although we really realized while doing this is that while we are waiting for the final Alan Turing report, we have really found that there are some limitations. Some limitations are like that, as I said, that it needs to be very definite to the problem space we are talking about. And sometimes your vendors, like they are how we can onboard these vendors, this we have not done yet. We really want to understand, like what is the cost associated in analyzing the first data set, synthesizing it for the first time, which includes getting those softwares on board and doing those health checks. So that's something still a black box that we really want to investigate more on. And also we want to technically, I won't go more technical, but want to understand, like, how this particular are these particular tools robust enough to take care of outliers in the data and how they deal with it. So still, these are the kind of limitations we want to understand more. And this is something is our kind of the next plan, that as of now we did it on open data, but we have proved that it is worth investigating, worth going forward. So we want to come up with a synthetic data sandbox where we get a vendor on board on the real data. We synthesize that particular data and use that synthetic data sandbox to do some kind of experiments in analytics space, do data sharing on that, and try to see that how we could use this particular synthetic data to develop more augmented intelligent tools also that we cannot do on real data because we can't put that data over there. So this is the kind of, like, the roadmap we are here we are. And the progress on this is that we are having a lot of cross talks within the department also. And we really want to, we need we are looking forward for the kind of data which is really very sensitive, and how we could really showcase that it could be really used through this. So yeah, so that's the kind of roadmap, the next roadmap that we are working on now. And we will really keep you guys in touch with the results. Yeah, so that's me, and over to you guys for questions.
If anyone has any questions, just either put your hand up or pop it in the sidebar. Looks like we're question free. Last chance.
I hope I didn't overwhelm with the information.
Excellent. Well, thanks everyone for joining. You will receive a recording of the session as well. And if you're interested in more in what we're doing in DWP Digital, we've got another session happening later on this afternoon that you can sign up to on the DigiLeaders site. So yeah, thank you everyone. Thanks, Shruti.
Thank you.
Thank you.